Spawning in the bottom left in the blue, he's the Infernal player from Aftermath. It's Snoxtar. And the upper right in the red from Korea, it's Refresh. Now, talking about how the top bar has been removed, that does mean that Overcharge now is a 50 energy ability that is now on the command post. It has a global cooldown, so you can't go like every 50 energy overcharge every single one of your bases. But on top of going and giving you additional attack speed and armor and attack damage and all these other wonderful things and construction speed, you also move faster now as well. So what that means is that you mine faster. It's a little bit like, it's not quite turning every servo into a mule at the start of the game, but it does substantively increase your mining on tier 1. There's a very powerful thing. Did this black bar around, is that new? I could have sworn that, I think that's new. Okay, that's kind of cool. I could have sworn these like the black backgrounds on the resource heads up things, whatever it is. Well, I'm pretty sure that was new. It wasn't there before, but for now, it's gonna be triple racks off of the command post first, coming out of Refresh here. So certainly no scouting available. He's also taking advantage of the new thing that was added in, where now it is guaranteed that if you rally on this side, units spawn on this side. And if you rally on this side, things spawn on this side. That may sound like a small thing, but it was a kind of annoying part of Stormgate that didn't exist prior. And now it does. So spawn on the other side. This does mean he'll be able to be active on the map and not really have to worry about anything. And this brute's going to continue to poke away at the barracks, but it's free repair. So this really is not doing all that much more than just distracting Snoxtar a little bit. And now with the Lancers out, it's going to be fine. So triple Lancer, 3 more on the way after that, and we got about a minute before the Stormgates are going to start to arrive, but this is Refresh getting active even before then. What does he have to, well, okay, he's not going to be able to break this with 3 Lancers. That much is certainly not true. By the way, the Lancers got a bit of a reskin. They colored a little bit differently. The shield is a little bit more visible. I think they look a lot better. Between the rim lighting and the bit of a reskin they got, they look really good. Rally change easily the best change of the patch, Kason. Beg to differ. The best change of the patch is now that the Stormgate saves your rally or saves your
dimensional
camera hotkeys.
A Stormgate will activate.
That's the big change. It saves them between games. So if you're playing Edge of Oblivion as a Vanguard on the north side of the map, you can go and your hotkeys just stay the same base to base. But look at what Refresh is doing here. He's not actively going for the Stormgate, which you might think he would be, but instead he's going to try to get on top of where he knows the Gaunts are going to be on the backside and run through them. He gets the first effigy at the very start here, and that's something. But now he's going to have to go. He kills off a couple of the Gaunts at the very beginning, dives on top. This round is very nice. And this is kind of what we were hoping for. He actually gets all the effigies as well. This is what we were hoping for when this concept of Stormgates is like, okay, do you want to engage with the Stormgate? Or do you want to engage with your opponent as they're engaging with a Stormgate? And that is the second thing is what's happening right now. That was a very nice move. He's going to kill off a lot of this army, but unfortunately, looks like even with that, it's not going to be quite enough here. And as I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, well, it does feel like effigies should be punished. You should be, the value from sniping effigies should be a little bit more. They should not be quite as consistent. And now we're going to see something a little bit different. Everyone's been talking about the Soul Forge, but a creeping horror is here immediately. This is a ranged unit. It can dash forward. And when it does its attack, it slows things. It gives you a nice little bit of control in an AoE, which is exactly what it's being used for, to make sure that the brutes get on top and stay on top of these Lancers. So behind this, Lancers are doing what they can. They want to get on top of the horror, and this horror is not that tanky, all things considered. But it's going to be double Hornet behind this, and that's not a ton of Gaunts. So try and vary. Oh, unfortunately, this Lancer's not in the healing zone. It's not in the Wellspring. Not a ton of Gaunts here. And we should start to be able to see some of the Vulcans, or not some of the Vulcans, excuse me. Some of these Hornets start to pop up a little bit as servos have been pulled to repair this. So it looks like for now, this is going to be kind of okay with the Repair-matic, but no, it's going to get busted through right as the first 2 Hornets arrive. And now, okay, so there's a Buzzsaw turret, not a Repair-matic anymore. The Hornet's getting a little bit of damage done onto the Gaunts on the low ground, and if you take the Gaunts down, well, the rest of this attack is not going to work out incredibly well. So it looks like this is going to be what is kind of a slim hold. All things considered, as we move back into the daytime, the Creeping Horror is going to be able to run away. And this is, I think, more of the promise of the Stormgate. Now, there are probably some balance considerations. Maybe Lancers should be a little bit tankier. I don't know. But this is kind of the promise of Stormgate. When you get something, it enables some real-time portion of your game after you took the fight. Because that was a good attack, certainly. Refresh, though, finds himself up in supply. He was able to hold on. And of course, he can go and cut these trees and power build a third base and be very happy with that one. If Gaunts get their curse off before Effigy dies, it doesn't matter that much. Yes and no, because you still get the HP regen, WWD. And, you know, curse lasts, what is it, 10 seconds? So you're not reapplying as well. I would argue that, and certainly once, you know, there's Infernal Fury on the map, certainly it matters at that point, because then you're not getting the attack bonus that you would otherwise do so. So it should matter, and it does matter in some circumstances. For now, though, Hornet's doing a decent job dealing with these Gaunts, as they're going to have to return to hangars. This one going to live? 3, 2, 1. It's fine. Okay, very close there. Refresh right on top of things as this Stormgate's going to spawn in just about... There we go.
Has appeared.
Snoxtar lost a lot of energy there. Effigy snipes cost him Hellspawn Resurgence. Yeah, that is actually very true. That's a very important thing. Is now a bunch of overcharged Bobs are being pulled in the mid-ground here, trying to go and get a turret up, which is very cool. And now the Hornets, they're going to have to fight around this, but this should be a Repair-matic, I would assume. You got to put something in there. No, it's just going to be Buzzsaw instead, as they fight over the mid-ground. Second Buzzsaw turret at the front as well. And the Hornet numbers are starting to diminish, but this double turret play is actually doing so much as they snipe down the Effigy as well. That's going to go down. The Mass Repair is doing a beautiful job. And this is so cool, especially now that Snoxtar is spending a little bit of damage on this level 2 Stormgate and not anything else. But now he's going to have to be very careful because these Buzzsaw turrets, they do bounce. And you can't get super close to this, so we're starting to see... Remember, by the way, Refresh did not get the tier 1, so he's getting the damage bonus, and he's getting the vision bonus around this as well, which makes it a little bit easier for him to go and contest this. Also, theoretically, for him to go and like counterattack while this is happening, while still maintaining some level of fight. But with the new, improved, prettier Harbinger on the map as well, getting a little bit more difficult here because the Shroud is much more constant. You can't just snipe the effigies and be fine. So it looks like Refresh, I think he's going to lose this fight at the end. I don't think he has quite as much as he would like. The gun numbers are just way too strong. Remember, we don't have any upgrades on these Lancers whatsoever. So Scout Mines are going to go down. They're going to get... Shadow Flyers will make contact after all. Seems like the Shroud or the Stormgate will get taken, but is there enough from Refresh's defense? Has he done enough on the backside to defend this? As he will get the Effigy, will get the Harbinger as well. And what did we... Actually, I didn't see what came out of the Stormgate for tier 2. Or did he not get it? That might have been what happened. I wasn't paying quite enough attention because if you go the 85 seconds and no Stormgate gets claimed, no one gets anything. And it might have been enough damage to allow that to happen. That being said, I don't think it truly matters here because the army of Snoxtar is just too big off his 3 bases that Refresh was never able to get. So now he doesn't have enough of anything. He's dead. And Snoxtar takes game number 1. Here we are. It's game number 2. Snoxtar really winning the fight around this Stormgate, which is what allowed him to go and snowball into the victory and keep his opponent off of 2 bases. I don't even think it was the Stormgate reward. It was Refresh committing to like 9 Lancers early on and not getting any attack with them. And that meant that when he lost all those Lancers, you're just kind of in a really rough spot. Now, is that because brutes are too strong or Infernal Production's too good or XYZ? I don't know. Like, this is literally day 3 of a patch that has changed the entire economic model. and given some balance changes and changed the objective model. Like it's very tempting to draw balance considerations. And some things are like, okay, well, you know, maybe that is broken. But it's tempting to draw balance, balance conclusions from like from these first couple days. I am trying very hard not to do that because it's so much has changed. I don't think it's fair to make that argument. Is Awesome Possum, thank you so much for the Prime sub if I didn't shout you out earlier. Maybe it's fine for the players, but for the observer, it'd be fine to know exactly. This is not somewhere where we need to know exact numbers. Omega 441 or 4114. It does not help me to say, wow, you got to do 500 more damage, 400 more damage. Like, doesn't really help. Like, that doesn't really add to the broadcast or add to the viewing experience, I don't think. But being able to see that, okay, the bar is here, because like if it's full red, full blue. If the bar is here, it's like, okay, it's about halfway. You know, it's about halfway, and it's filling up, filling up. Ah, got it. Okay. I think that's fine. Lights under are a good system, but not exact. I think it might be nice, like if you click on it, it shows a more useful view. Like if you click on it right here, that might be how you want to do it. As Lancer finds his way into the natural here of Refresh, as he's going double hog behind this. We'll have to see how this one works out. So that's where you're like, how much you focus fire before you have to retreat. I mean, it's one of those things where if you think about when a player is playing this game, they're not saying, well, my army does 500 damage if I alpha strike. You know, like that's not how you think about things in RTS games. DS Elijah asking how the game so far. Is the patch bringing interesting stuff? Well, MSRM annihilated off of hitting a double dragon timing off, like getting a soul forge on tier 1 Stormgate, and then doing a little bit more nonsense with that. So that maybe wasn't great. But we're experimenting here. Like literally, no one knows how things are truly going to happen. It's way too young. But so we got Lancer Hog is the way that Refresh is playing right now. That's his idea about how to play this. But I don't think this contests tier 1 Stormgate. I don't know that it can. I think it's not going to. The Hogs can go pick things off, but they can't just prevent this army from just getting on top of the Stormgate and filling up that blue meter as we were talking about and making this just all like making sure you get the tier 1. And now it's going to be the Favorite, which is a healer. I've seen a lot of people saying that this is just way too strong and should be nerfed down or be on tier 2 or whatever it is. I don't know. But by the way, this Wellspring, it's tempting to really focus on it. It does not heal very much at all. I don't know what the number is, but it's not percentage based. It is just, it's slow and it does not scale. But for now, because you have the Favorite, you can go for an attack. So it's Gaunts, it's Brute, is this Favorite that goes and just heals everything up and makes it very hard to cut through. So Snoxtar is going to get running into the overcharge. Actually, nice position here with the Lancers trying to pin him into the wall. But it's not going to be quite enough as Luminite Walk gets them. Yeah, there we go. Gets the servos on top of the back line a little bit more. This is actually a beautiful defense out. Oh my goodness, out of Refresh. That is fantastic. And now, well, because you're killing off the units that are defending the Favorite, and the Favorite's dead, 100%, it should just fall down here. Chase this thing down, Refresh. It is actually so valuable, but it also falls over in a stiff breeze. So Favorite's gonna fall down. Beautiful servo pull defense there coming out of Refresh. And now, well, I don't know if he's gonna be able to break the third base with this, but I think he should. This was a very heavy commitment from Snoxtar. He built a lot of units to go contest the tier 1 Stormgate and just didn't really get enough out of it. So now we're starting to see these units go get taken down. All of the Gaunts are gonna fall. And remember, we are on tier 2, but there's not really a lot of, okay, a couple hogs. Maybe this isn't a dead third base. Maybe we're just gonna have to back up and be okay with the trades. But because you're spending effigies all over the place, Hellspawn is very expensive. It is very expensive. So if you've been dropping effigies this entire time, you can't just get a couple hell spawns and get a bunch of units out very quickly, which means that this Hellborn is dead. The Weaver is dead. The imps are being pulled into this, and they are, sorry, not the imps. The gremlins, the new Fellhogs are now dead as well, and this third base should fall down. Yes, there is a Weaver, but it's just gonna get kited out. It's not doing enough. Not really. The percentage damage against hogs does not, it is not consequential enough to really take him down without some other army. There is now this Lancer's gonna go and get the promotion into an immediate death, but will get the kill. And Snoxtar is kind of dead at this point, I think. It's the slow rally off these two bases. As I say, that third base on the way, but it's the slow rally. But Snoxtar, it's 6.5 minutes in, and he doesn't have Infernal Fury, so he does not have that charge, which means it's very hard to get on top of these units. And now that he does, it's a little bit easier to go and kill off the hedgehogs, certainly, but it's just not enough. Is the problem. The snowball is here, the Hellborn's gonna spawn, and there's no splash damage anymore, so it's immediately gonna go down. This third base will slowly fall, and we don't even have to worry about the second or the second Stormgate at all. It's totally fine. And this is actually mirroring how a lot of my games have been going, which I think is interesting. Where when I play against Vanguard players that commit to the tier 1 Stormgate, I win. Because they commit they commit too hard to it. I probably am gonna have enough stuff. As we're gonna see this Vulcan get lashed and stunned, but there's just not enough stuff here. It's gonna evaporate everything. They just have too much stuff, right? Or and they lose the trade, and then you have a Faerun or something, and you win the game. But if they don't commit, and you commit to the tier 1 Stormgate, you're stuck on tier 1 tech, and they're getting Vulcans out or something, and then you lose the next fight, and then you lose the game. So it's a very interesting interplay that we're seeing that I look forward to seeing how it evolves a little bit more. But for now, this is going to be a tied series, 1-1. Here we are. It's game number 3. It's actually kind of interesting here. We're not seeing that immediate overcharge. Refresh. Yeah, okay, a little surprising actually. I feel like you want to overcharge immediately to get that income boost as quickly as possible, but there it is. Okay, so just making sure that you overcharge pretty much right as you send your not your bobs, send your servos out to go and get your natural, so then you can make sure you have overcharge to build your first barracks as well. Is my assumption on Refresh's logic here. At the end of the day, it's it is a significant economic injection that you're gonna get. As behind this is gonna be a 10-10 from Snoxtar, so you open up 10 Conclave this time into a 10 Volt, and then you get your natural, eventually, there we go. And what this means is that you have units out early. It's safe. There are some builds that is not something we're seeing really Snoxtar do right now, but there are some builds where you go like barracks first. Jay loves this, by the way. There are some builds where you go barracks first and run like your first Lancer, your first couple Lancers onto the other side of the map, and just start to put pressure on the Vanguard natural or the Infernal natural. And if you open up 10 Shrine, you're just kind of pulling workers for quite a while. Because it just, if you open up 10-10-10, you're just not, it's the most efficient way to open from like a macro perspective, but you're not getting you're not getting units out quickly enough to go defend against it. So a lot of Infernal players are just opening up 10 Shrine, 10 or 10 Volt, 10 Conclave, 10 Conclave, 10 Volt, something like that, just to make sure they don't fall victim to the early 2 Conclave Argent, to the early barracks type of play. So for now, we're gonna see this brute showing up on the other side, and there's the repair. I mean, this is also I feel vindicated. I've started to do this a lot in my games as well because it's just hard to scout right now. So just getting that you're not really spending the rest of your charges. Ideally, there's no need, right? You'd rather go and get more tech up or get more workers up. You know, do more things that just kind of bank yourself up a little bit, because most engagements, especially on this great big map, are happening around the first Stormgate. Are happening like around 3:30 or so, outside of like a little bit of poking and prodding. So I'm seeing a lot of Infernal players like holding on to that money as much as possible so they can, again, buy more imps and get more structures and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then just hitting the button with all the charges like right before the fight.
Dimensional rift detected.
Ooh, that is an awkward Stormgate very far in the north of the map here. And it's going to happen. So Hedgehogs are going to find the first couple gaunts, and that's going to force an effigy down. Now remember, effigies are 20, what is it, 25 energy? Is it 15? It's 15. So effigies they do cost some amount of energy, especially if you're going 10-10 into a shrine. Now there's plenty of energy right now, but one of the things that Refresh is going to be looking to do is to force these effigies out as much as possible. Because that means that, again, less Hellspawn Resurgence on tier 2, and just less effigies in general as you try to hold these positions to take the fight. So, again, not a big deal right now, but it is important to pay attention to as this game continues. Also, take a look at this. I like this a lot. So, we're having all this fighting in the mid-game, but Snoxtar, with a couple of these Fiends that split off early, he's just setting the Fiends onto the north side. And that's going to be fine, because this is a tier 1 Stormgate. You only need to do about 1,000 damage. Fiends actually do a significant amount. So he should be able to claim this tier 1 Stormgate before it times out at 5 minutes or so. Give or take right around 5 minutes. He should be able to claim this, and there we go. Fills the blue bar, gets the first Stormgate, and I like that. That is also one of these things where if you can just save a little bit extra APM and go for it, you can be pretty cool. So it's going to be a Faerun once again, the strong, powerful healing unit. But because this is a big map, and because there's already a third base on the way for Snoxtar, this Faerun's going to be playing into the mid game. This is not going to be for that like 2-base timing we saw Snoxtar attempt and fail in game number 1, which means that those of you that are asking for a macro game, we're getting our wish here. Gonna be a nice big 3-base versus 3-base, and I'm a little surprised to not see this base get taken. Not for Snoxtar, that one makes sense. But I feel like I see a lot of Vanguard players going and taking this base because it goes and you can push through it kind of like a Terran would be able to do so. This third base is very exposed to run-bys. So that can be a little bit awkward. And I think also, like, if you go take this more forward base, it gives you really good position on 60% of the Stormgates. 25, thank you. I'm like, I knew it was changed, but 25 didn't feel right because 25 feels too cheap for how much it feels like you can spam effigies. Is kind of where my head is right now, but that's a lot of cars. They're going to find themselves a nice little bounty. That's going to be one Weaver down. Second one's going to fall down here as well, but now that's the power of the Favorite. It is just healing so much, and the amount of energy I feel like the Faerun should not have quite the energy region that it does, because not only does it have that healing beam on auto cast, it also has a more targeted healing beam that I think heals more. Again, I have not tried this. I haven't had it in enough games, but that's what the patch notes said. Hedgehogs are super awkward on this map. Some of the major paths are blocked off by the small unit-only trees. Yeah. Oh, man, I lost a game on this map because the Stormgate was right here, and I had a bunch of, like, Hellborn, and I hadn't cut these trees, or, like, Hellborn and Weavers and, like, big, beefy units, and I hadn't cut the trees down, and I was just, like, it was bad. It was real. I threw the game really hard. But for now, it's going to be Stormgate on the north side once again. And I feel like there are games where you just get the Stormgate the same spot over and over again. So to get one Stormgate in the same spot 2 times in a row is 1/25th, which is 0.4%. As you're gonna have to back up on this one just a little bit. Attack going into the third base, zoning out the Stormgate as well if that's what they want to go for. And okay, we got our Vulcans here. We got a couple Weavers, and the Vulcans are gonna get lashed back in. By the way, Rampart from the new defensive structure is on the Hedgehog, not on the Vulcan, which is where it really would like to be. But even still, this concave is beautiful. And this is a position that you're going to have to back out from as Snoxtar. It's not working out for you whatsoever. Oh, no, that was not the fight. And there we go. That is, in fact, the reinforced bubble on this Vulcan. That means that all the tech is dead. You're going to be able to fight back here. And now you got a choice as Refresh. Do you go for the Stormgate? Or do you go attack your opponent? It looks like the answer for now, he thinks he has enough damage to go kill the Stormgate before it expires, and that is very true, by the way. People are asking about things. This bar of red and blue, you gotta fill the bar all the way to blue if you are the blue side, if you gotta fill it all the way to red if you're red side, and before that timer runs down. Now, of course, he gets that as we're going to see Drop showing up in the natural here, trying to punish him for being way on the corner of the map, taking the Stormgate. So, bit of a harass on the north side as we see the drop in the natural that's getting a lot of damage done. His Exos do not have Quick Draw Hustle just yet. And I didn't see... Oh, okay, that's very cool. We got Unstable Necrolusks as going to be the choice of Tier 2 Stormgate, Tier 2 Stormgate, which is a... I don't know if it shows it. Yeah. It does 200 damage AoE. They're a massive banelings, is really what they are. So Snoxtar tries to go and defend or get the aggression, and he will find some value. But now we got these slow-moving, effectively massive banelings that do 200 damage to things, 300 damage to structures. And if I'm him right now, I want to see, okay, where's the hangar bay here? I feel like you need a hangar bay anyways to deal with the Harbingers, but give me that hangar bay. Sure, get a Vulcan to deal with the Harbinger. And then get me an evac. Okay, let's carpet bomb here with the unstable Necrolusks. I think that would be super cool. They put Stormgate in the Stormgate. It was so obvious that this was the fix the game the game needed. You know, in hindsight, maybe. Obviously, things are not balanced just yet, 100%. But it is pretty cool. I am enjoying the interplay in these games. And now the Dragon's going to show up as well. Got to be careful of that one. And that's not something your unstable Necrolusk is going to help out whatsoever. We do have some Hedgehogs here, and that's going to be fun. As the drop of the main base, that's going to be dealt with. Dude, Slagile saying, I got the Stormgate at the same spot 3 times in a row today, and it's where I already had Sentry Post, and it's such a setup. It was so lucky. Yeah, I am convinced that some of these Stormgates, you get maps where the RNG is broken and it just goes to the same spot over and over again. I'm convinced that is true. Oh, we gotta be careful here. The Dragon very exposed now. There is no upgrade on these Exos, so they're not really doing a lot to it, which is fine as there we go. Okay, Stormgate's gonna be on the bottom right side this time, which means that we are not stuck on the north side anymore. This is actually a really good spawn for Snoxtar. His base is already here. He's already got himself a bunch of Shroud here. And he's the one that did, because he didn't take the tier 2, he's got a bit of a buff on taking the tier 3. So this is an awkward retake coming out for Refresh right now. Luckily, you got to do 6,000 damage. It does matter quite a bit, so he's going to start to pump a little bit of damage in, but also getting on top of this army as Snoxtar just trying to burn it down, but that's a mistake. That's not what you wanted to do. So much damage was pumped into this Stormgate, and it was not into the army, but now Refresh, he's the one that's going to try to take this down. You got to do so much damage to this thing on tier 3 to really justify that, which means he's not taking the fight for the most part. These Exos, they got to join the fray. They got to get on top of things, and that's giving Snoxtar an opportunity. But as the army starts to get on top of things just a little bit more, I mean, the Hellborns with their upgrade is actually doing a lot. But okay, he's going to move on a little bit further forward, getting on top. And man, Quick Draw Hustle would be so useful right now. But as it stands, there's nothing to tank for the Harbinger, or not to tank for the Harbinger, to tank for the Hellborn. So that means this level 3 Stormgate probably is going to end the game. He's going to... Oh, it's so tempting right now to all in for it. It is so tempting, but he's going to turn. Yeah, he's going to get on top of this army, poke them down, and with how close this is to be a red-sided victory, yeah, it's just going to get it. You win the fight, you get the Stormgate, and then what do we get out of here in tier 3? Because this is where the stuff gets... I love how broken it is. Storm, yes! It's the Stormcaller. Okay, so this spawns a Firestorm for 30 seconds that does 30 damage per second, and I want to say it's like 60 damage per second against structures. It is like so good as an anti-turtle thing. Oh, by the way, it's a move. I assumed when I was testing it around it was immobile. No, it is movable. I don't know if it goes up cliffs, but he's not going to use it because Snoxtar's going to tap out, and we get to move on to game 4. So here we are. Game number 4. Refresh looking very solid in the next couple games. Just making that decision. A, opening up Hogs seems to be the proper play. And B, not all-inning for the Stormgate. Do we think Cloning Dragons is going to stay in? I hope so, but I think it needs to be moved later into the game. And with respect to the format, though, every match is a best of 5. It is loser pick after map 1. And at that point, so it's loser pick. And then, because we only have 3 maps, we go through all of the maps. And then we go like then we reset the pool. So I hope that we see the cloning dragons stay in, but I think we should see less of them, or I think it should not be so early in the game. I think those are kind of the big things, because you can get up to like, you can get a dragon out and then clone it before like before the second Stormgate's out. Like, it's just way too fast. And part of that is because, you know, if you're not putting as much pressure on the map, you know, it's hard to put a lot of pressure on Infernals to slow them down enough. Part of it's maybe the eco scaling, even starting with 7 workers, is too fast. I don't know. There are a couple levers you can pull here, but I think in general we tech up too fast. Or it's teching up is a little bit too easy in Stormgate right now. Yeah, I think we should also add, I'm with adding another Stormgate here. I think that'd be kind of cool. Or reshuffle where some of the things are. Could also be cool to have multiple T3 Stormgates on the map. Yeah, well, you see, the problem is if you go multiple Stormgates, you have the possibility of trading instead of engaging. And that's not as interesting to me. I don't know. Yeah, I think, Butters, man, I like some guy's idea. Someone had an idea. I forget who it was. Speak out in chat if it was you, but who said, you know, tier 1 clone, tier 1 Stratfor or Soul Forges should only go and spawn tier 1. They should be able to clone tier 1. Tier 2 Soul Forges should be able to clone tier 2, and tier 3 Soul Forges should be able to clone tier 3, you know, go back down and forth.
A Stormgate will activate soon.
And the cool thing about that is, like, you could have 1 Soul Forge as an option at each level, and it gets progressively better and gets being worth the tier, while not being like, oh, you can have 4 dragons, have fun. For now, though, a bunch of Lancers on the map, and Lancers are just not good enough with his army, so it's a little bit awkward as Refresh continues to try to build all these Lancers, in part because Edge of Oblivion is truly a tiny map, so getting up to Hedgehogs in time feels very difficult, just doesn't feel super viable. But he's just gonna not fight for this. He's not gonna fight for the Stormgate. We're gonna have to see what exactly it is that, okay, it's gotta be the Faerun. So now, you got yourself a healer and, wait. That is super cool. Oh my goodness. I didn't see it. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the replay, but what I'm pretty sure just happened here. Oh, never mind, okay. I thought I didn't realize he cut these 2 trees down. I thought for a second that he'd like, somehow the load-in range on turrets was high enough that you could go like into and out of the buzzsaw turret, and that would give you what you needed. That's not true. That would have been very cool though. Kind of a cool bit of I feel like an exploit almost, but, or exploiting some stuff. But as it stands, it's not really the case. It's fine. And actually now we can see the issue with how aggressive Snoxtar was pushing his effigies early on. Notice 14 energy here. You know, 22 energy here. He actually cannot double up on effigies on his third base, which means his third base is much slower than it would otherwise be, because he's just not able to keep Shroud consistently on that third base because he spent so much of it early on, which is, you know, one of the punishes of dropping that many effigies early. So kind of cool there, as we can see nice splash damage being done by this Lancer, but he will continue to have to run away as more racks are getting added in. This is a 2-base all-in. By the way, coming out of Refresh in this game number 4, it's getting, I think he thinks that just getting a third base is way too strong, but he has dragged a decent amount of this army into the main base, but this single Lancer is going to run across the map with a whole lot more of them and just take the fight. Gets on top of the Faerun, hopefully immediately as it gets microed backward, but just full surround. So healer is dead. That's step number 1. This army is really far less capable now than it used to be. So he's going to get a lot of damage done. Has to back up now, and ideally you're not going to lose too much on the defense, but he's able to run in there, kill off a decent amount of Gaunts, snipe down the Faerun's the big thing, and now get himself set up here with a couple med techs back into the Wellspring. This is actually working out pretty well for Refresh. So now Snoxtar has the newly upgraded Reaper's Rush, 35% increased movement speed. It is now a 60-second upgrade instead of a 90-second upgrade. I gotta say, I'm very surprised here that he decided to go Ritual Chamber or the new trees, right? Where are the new trees? Where's my Ritual Chamber? I can show it off, but I cannot. Where is it? He got the upgrade. Where is this Ritual Chamber?
A Stormgate will activate soon.
What am I missing? Oh, there. Never mind. That's the. I could have sworn. Oh no, it's the Shadow Cleft that was replaced. I'm like, oh, what am I talking about? But anyways, fight happened in the middle. That's what we should be paying attention to. And these Vulcans are shredding once again. The bubble just bringing these ramparts forward. Refresh, really outside of Mixu, uses Vanguard structures better than anyone else. Bringing these ramparts forward to put bubbles on top of the big, beefy Vulcans to make sure the lashes don't do enough for them is very cool tech. And that means that the fight over the Stormgate doesn't truly matter anymore. It literally does not, because the fight's getting started here. More habitats are getting started. They should turn into ramparts soon. And with that, a little bit of extra defense. There we go. Rampart into an immediate bubble once again. Yeah, there's not enough damage in this army from Snoxtar once again. He's kind of dead. This was a very cool series. Very cool series coming out of Refresh.